Holy gosh dang darn dingly dang it, it's a Chibi hour. It's been a while, but my goodness, a lot of you want to know my thoughts, my feedback on a lot of things that is Destiny related and non-Destiny related, and I apologize, I haven't done any Chibi hours to talk about many of these topics. I know I talked about power level and the grind for that and how that was, and thankfully, recently they answered that with the +2 pinnacle gear thing, and it's been way better. So, with all these future Chibi hours, including especially this one, I'm hoping that maybe Bungie will talk about these issues and find an answer that everyone will be happy about, and, you know, we can move on. But, of course, as usual, gotta talk about EVERVERSE. You know, I've defended EVERVERSE, and I've talked against EVERVERSE in many different parts through Destiny 2 cycle, and in this case, I'm not really defending it that much. But I am going to say, honestly, before I even talk about it, I want Bungie to make money. I'm okay with Bungie employees getting a better raise during the holiday season, and, you know, Bungie making some money to help them stay afloat as they are now publishing games by themselves, and, you know, they plan on hopefully making a lot of good content. But here's the thing. If you're making money, I hope it's going for a very good cause, and not just more money for the higher-ups, so they can get that 7th jacuzzi. Please don't. Please don't. Don't. We want Bungie to be the Bungie that we want. And since you're split from Activision, let's keep that good positive face, because you're gonna need it. Trust me. So, I want to say that I've been very happy with Shadowkeep. I've been happy with Festival Lost. But here's the thing. That doesn't change the fact that EVERVERSE just seems like it's always just that thing that can get in the way of being positive about everything that's going on, where I'm like, you know what? I like this thing. But gosh, I'm thinking all these concerns and negative things that probably are affected because of how EVERVERSE is and what they're prioritizing with EVERVERSE that isn't prioritized everywhere else. I mean, one of the things that I was really disappointed on was when Bungie was literally saying, oh, we're not going to do refreshes on vendors like for the patrol areas, and also there's no Iron Banner weapons, like new weapons in Iron Banner. There's no new anything Crucible-wise other than the ritual weapons. Same thing with the Vanguard, and same thing with Gambit and the Gunsmith. And Faction Rally, where the hell are you? Like, Faction Rally was on just hold, and Bungie said it was because we wanted to perfect it. Where? It is still gone. I mean, Trials is still gone. Like, what? There is less vendors because these two things are gone. Faction Rally should be back at this point, but it's not, and I'm hoping about next season. Now, the reason why I don't want to get too heated about a lot of things with EVERVERSE is because, well, I'm giving them potentially a chance to talk about this, to fix this, you know, talk to the community and be like, hey, let's find an equal grounds. Because I'm not going to lie, Destiny 2 Vanilla, when they made the changes where every time you leveled up, you got an engram, and they removed the throttling XP on that too, and they started to give you 2 EVERVERSE engrams during events, 1 event engram and 1 seasonal engram. It was very favoring to the community. Even if you didn't play that much, most of the time you got a lot of stuff free rather than you having to spend anything. It was, yeah, I can understand why Bungie was like, okay, well, maybe we need to take a step back and change the format to be where we get something out of the things that we make. I get it. I understand. Totally. But here's the thing. Now that you've changed the format, now it's completely more on the side of Bungie than it's ever been, because, well, number one, the prices for things, and number two, I was right, a Bright Dust famine. I mean, 200 Bright Dust per weekly, and there's 6 weeklies per character that you could do. The dailies, forget about it. 10 Bright Dust per bounty, that's not enough. Especially when you go to EVERVERSE and you realize, wait, that exotic emote that I really, really wanted is how much Bright Dust? How much? 4,000? 2,000? Woof. Man. I'm going out of my Bright Dust very quickly. I mean, for crying out loud, I haven't bought everything through Bright Dust, and I had 88,000 Bright Dust. I'm down to 40,000. That's a lot of Bright Dust within a season and an event. And again, I didn't buy everything with Bright Dust. I did spend some money on some cosmetics that I thought were pretty cool that I used silver on. And yeah, I'm noticing a big change. And this is not very kind to the hardcore community. I know Bungie's gonna be like, but it's free to play now in Destiny 2. No, it's not. You still have to pay for expansions. You gotta pay for the annual pass. The only way that this is free is for the players that just want the demo version of Destiny, essentially. It's not free to play. It's not. I'm sorry. Stop. Stop. Don't. But again, I feel like they can find alternatives to make sure that everyone's happy. I mean, for starters, I want them to, first of all, retract that statement, Luke Smith, about where they said, hey, in a looter shooter, where fashion is a big thing in looter shooters, I think cosmetics should strictly be in Eververse. Wrong answer. I feel like that's not really a good move, but I'm also not saying that, hey, everything inside of Eververse should be given from every single source, Crucible, whatever, they just drop. No, that's not what I'm saying either. But, for example, remember when you would do the Leviathan raid and you get that exotic emote where you sit on a chair? It felt special. It had some value to it because you got it. It was a rare drop. There you go. The exotic ghost shell from the Leviathan raid. That was pretty interesting. Plus, cosmetically, even though it was a chunker, it was different, it was interesting, and it had some sweet perks to it that enhanced the raid experience. There were exotic sparrows and ships that you can earn inside the game as well, like in Scourge of the Past. I mean, for even vendors, Crucible. Remember Shax when he was giving away an exotic ghost shell, but you had to do a bunch of random things to get it? Ornaments. You know those things that Bungie is promoting through Eververse now that you get universally to any armor? Remember ornaments through doing certain things in certain activities that were based on those vendors? There was one for every single vendor, essentially. I mean, seriously. Remember all the ornaments for just the Crucible armor? Hey, go into the Crucible and play 10 matches of blah, 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 and you'll get this armor piece that looks a little bit different. Yes, it kind of has the same armor piece, but it's got a little flashy thing on it to make it a little bit different. That had value, and I feel like that enhanced the experience a bit more. It's a looter shooter after all, and because there's such a lack of endgame loot that people are striving to go for, I mean, you kind of would like to entice people to do these activities for other things like ornaments and cosmetics. Because let's be honest, most cosmetics that you get that isn't from Eververse is poo-poo garbage. Doesn't look good. I mean, Garden of Salvation is just a reskin, and it just doesn't look as flashy as like the Vault of Glass Age of Triumph armor back in Destiny 1. No. I don't like it. I actually prefer the Season Pass armor way more than the Raid armor. And yeah, most Eververse gear is probably going to look very, very flashy too. But at the same time, you know, I understand why they want to make Eververse look interesting, enticing. They want you to be like, hey, you want to spend $2? But instead of $2, it's $10, $10, $10, $10, $10, $5, $7, $10, $5. Basically to the point where you're spending more than an entire game to purchase all the things that are part of a free event. And Festival Lost, I know it was a free event, but come on, Bungie. The level of enticing cosmetics that are so cool and interesting, like the exotic broom they can only get through Eververse, and then have only an auto rifle and masks for Haunted Forest. And not only that, like, the Haunted Forest is just the Haunted Forest again, just with more decorations. And don't get me wrong, I like decorations, but seriously, no other innovations outside of there? I mean, when I go to talk about my thoughts about Festival Lost, I'll give my thoughts on a cool idea that I thought that would be great for Festival Lost that they decided to not do to make PvE more fun outside of the Haunted Forest, but okay. Anyways, I feel like Bungie needs to find a good median. And when I mean good median, I mean where we're not going through $60+ to get emotes and stuff like that. I mean, for crying out loud, if they are seriously meaning that they want cosmetics to strictly be an Eververse, which I personally don't believe in, maybe not make it so expensive. Because then, let me just say this, when it comes to a looter shooter, most people's endgame is not just looking for stats, they don't want to look gross either. And most of the armor that you get is kind of gross. Don't even get me started with freaking Vanguard armor. Ugh. It's a terrible design. But, I mean, Iron Banner armor, that looks kind of nice. Even though some of them kind of make you look like you're ready to turn into a turtle. But the point is having less content and having it feel like most content being tied to Eververse is just, it's not good. Bungie, you're split from Activision. No one can say, but Activision did it. They're just going to point fingers at you. And I'm going to be absolutely realistic here. I know that these microtransactions are not needed to ensure that you can make that cool whatever free thing for Whisper the Worm ×2 or whatever down the road. I know that these are just to make more profit. That's it. They're not like a dire need, but they're nice to have, right? It's always good to make more profit off of, yeah. And I am here defending that fact. But I'm going to say honestly, well, let's be a little bit more fair. For starters, I feel like cosmetics should be outside of Eververse as well. And I mean good ones. You know that 150 speed Iron Banner Sparrow that you're like, hey, this is cosmetic? It's a 150 speed legendary Sparrow that, by the way, has been reskinned multiple times. It's the same Sparrow from Gambit that you get for, taking out the butthole. That thing. It's not cool. It's not interesting. I mean, come on. I mean, a legendary ship that was just reskinned from a Dawning ship for doing the Master Nightfall? Ugh. Just, no one's gonna use it. Yay, I got a thing. I mean, there's no cosmetics in the raid that are really interesting, like no ships, sparrows with a interesting twist on them. I mean, ghost shells to make like, hey, if you have this ghost shell equipped while you're in the raid, maybe you'll get an extra drop. Maybe you'll have a higher chance of getting weapons instead of armor, because I hate the armor. It's gross. I don't like its design. But again, I feel like they need to find a good equal grounds where the community's happy and Bungie's also happy, and not just, giving out things for free entirely. Again, I get both ends, but it's way too one-sided. And it was before for us, but now it's way too one-sided for them with the prices, how impossible it is to get things free, even if you pay for the annual pass, the expansion, and you spend so much time in the game. Not good. Not good at all. And I am hoping that these profits from Eververse are going to good things down the road. There is no excuse of lack of content in a lot of things if you have the money and if you have the manpower to, do it. Come on. Bring back Faction Rally. It's been gone so long. But either way, I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Eververse needs to change? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? And I want to know why. And if you agree with me, maybe share this. Maybe try and share with Bungie. I don't know. They probably will just be like, ugh, Chibi. I know that guy. We don't like talking about that guy. He makes all kinds of weird thumbnails and we don't approve them. But either way, I want to know your thoughts. So thank you so much, as usual, for watching my rant, my Chibi hour. You guys have a Chibi-tastic day. So have a good one, everyone. Chibi out.